आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत्तेन विघ्नप्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीतनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षं मङ्गलद्वयं निगमशाखिशिखाप्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रं विघ्नाद्रिभीदशतधारधुरन्धरन्नः सर्वेषां स्वागतं. Welcome to the Bhashya session. So in the Bhashya session, we are going to be doing 64 to 67 shlokas. So the reference is actually from Bhagavatam. Shriyate tu yada dharmaha prapte ghore kalau yuge. So about Kali Yuga, it is actually given in the Bhagavatam itself. Kalauna Rajan Jagatam Patim Harim Trilokanatha Nata Pada Pankajam Prayena Martya Bhagavantamachyutam Nashyanti Pashanda Vibhinna Chetasaha. So the meaning, the reference over here, Kshiyate tu yada dharmaha prapte ghore kalau yuge. In the Kali Yuga, what happens, be it is Rajan, Jagatam, Patim, etc., etc. You have to bow down to Hari. Trilokanatha he is. So you bow down to him. If you do that, then the effects of Kali Yuga do not touch you. Or as we have spoken in the previous verses also, Kali Yuga has a way of uh, diverting you. So the derision, it goes away. So you will be focused. That is one of the effects of chanting Narayana Nama or Vishnu Nama or Haristuti. Doing that, it Prayena Matya Bhagavantam Achyutam Nashyanti Pashanda Vibhinna Chetasaha. All kinds of different papas, it will be Nashyanti. That is what has been said. So that is the from Bhagavata. The reference is from Bhagavata. Then when we go to the next shloka, the reference is from Vishnu Purana. There again, Vishnu Purana is trying to give us the same meaning. That is the second shloka. Avashenapi yannamni kirtite sarvapatakaihi puman vimuchyate sadyah simhastrastair mrugairiva. So as hearing the garjana of Simha, all the mrugas run away. Like that, the patakas, mahapatakas, they also stop pidana. So, Human Vimuchyate, that means we get freed from it when we take his name. That is the meaning of it. And it is Ayam Shloka Vishnu Purane. This is the sixth shloka, sixth kanda, 8th adhyaya, and the 19th shloka it is. So, this is from there. So even in Vishnu Purana also, the same has been said. And I think there is some more to it when we talk about Vishnu Purana, how it brings about. So now again, what we need to understand is the nature of these shlokas are not that we are not saying that the effect of karma isn't there. What we need to understand is that Krishna's avatara itself is such that he has been born to give moksha to many of the demons. If you look at 10th skanda onwards, where we are focusing mainly on Krishna, we see that he is giving mukti to everybody. Everybody who they would have done some papa or something. Now, in that one asura, don't remember the name properly. So one asura who was a king at some point of time, a very pious king he is. That king, what happens is and he has done a lot of tapas and all that. But at some point of time, he forgets to do his to give his salutations to Rishi Durvasa. Rishi Durvasa is known to be extremely angry, short-tempered, something like that. So he is coming to his not Asthana. The king is at some place, and then Rishi Durvasa is coming, and then he is lost in his own world, and he doesn't see him, and he doesn't do namaskara to him, doesn't no do guru namana. So that is also considered a very big sin. So Rishi Durvasa, he gets angry, and when he gets angry, what he does is he says, "You," and everybody knows this, that this king is an extremely pious one. And he is done his own, like Vishwamitra. He has also done his penances, and he has also done all these yaga, yajnas, tapas, and he has also got a lot of punya on his end. But Rishi Durvasa says, I think you have lost your samskaras because um, you have come, your mind is into the aham of doing all these tapas. That means your ego has developed where you think that you have done so many tapas and you have done so many penances, so you don't need to bow down to your guru. So Rishi Durvasa gets very angry and he says that is also a Rakshasi Kritya. So therefore, now you will regress. You will be born as a Rakshasa, as a Daitya. Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, when we read about that, there are certain nature of the asuras have been given. What are they like? So, ego, highest of the egos, Rakshasas do not, it's not that they don't understand, they don't want to acknowledge that Vishnu or Narayana is the supreme entity. And therefore, there is a develop, and what restricts them or what prohibits them from accepting this is their own ego. They feel that they are better than, or they can escape the wrath of the supreme entity. Therefore, they start feeling that they are better than everybody else, or that they are in control of everything. So Rishi Durvasa says that you seem to have developed an ego that is restricting you from bowing down to your own gurus. So therefore you will regress regardless of the amount of tapas you have done, regardless of the austerities that you have gained, the punyas that you have earned, you will regress to a Rakshasa. And then the king realizes that regardless of how or where his mind was, it is important to always uh, salute your gurus. And therefore, he falls at the feet of Rishi Durvasa and he says, I seek your forgiveness, but and I do not what do we say? I did not mean to offend you. I have done all my penances. I have done everything. Now you're cursing me. Does all my austerities mean nothing at all? Can't you forgive me based on my good deeds? Rishi Durvasa says no. Karma has individualistic approach. They cannot be netted off like that. It is not that I owe you 50 rupees, you owe me 10 rupees, now you only owe me, I only owe you 40 rupees. That is not how it works. If there is no net of concept when it comes to the karma phalas, you have to individually approach them. It is just that the effect of two opposing karmas can the effect of those two karmas can bring about some kind of cushion effect. That is, I have done something good. Maybe I have given some dana dharma or something like that. I have given some donation, some charities I have done, but I was also a miser to somebody else. I started treating my employees very badly. I cannot say that because I have performed good deeds over there, given it to some charities and not given it to somebody else who was in need of it, that these two karmas will net off on its own. What may happen is that the effect of this karma, where I have been a miser, is that I will also face a particular time where I will be in dire need of money. But because I have also done this karya where I have given to charities, somebody may help me out. Now, again, this may is very strict, may or may not happen. It may happen overlapping the karma phala of this event, negative event, such that it may ease my tension or it may cushion that blow. That's all. So like that, they may seem to overlap. But when we look at it on an individual approach, the karma phala of the good karmas, the karma phala of the bad karmas will always be given in full. They will not come, or they will not measure down on their own. So Rishi Durvasa says, you have earned a lot of punya. You've learned immensely, you have understood immensely, you have become a great sadachari, and you have earned all that punya. But this kritya is a rakshasi kritya. Despite being, like, for example, you being an auditor. Auditor is someone who has to look at the account books. If a normal cleric, a clerk, he looks at the account books and he doesn't find any abnormalities, then he is not qualified for that. That is fine. But the job of an auditor is to make sure that there is no illegalities. So at that point of time, when you say you haven't spotted any frauds or anything like that, any abnormalities, it means you have not learned anything. That means your proficiency itself is going to be questioned. So in the same way, what is the point of getting all those siddhis, tapas, doing all those tapas? It is to give you the paribhasha of what dharma is, what daiva gunas are, what Arishad Vargas are, and how to stay away from it, how to be detached from all these things. But if that has only led to you gaining a sense of ego, that means you haven't learned what those austerities are truly means. That doesn't mean what you have learned have completely lost their impact. At some point of time, maybe you have failed to apply that knowledge. So now, what is the how does the sharp of emotion, the curse, get lifted? So for that, Rishi Durvasa says, you have earned enough austerities for the Lord, that is Narayana himself, to lift this curse. He will only give you the Shapa Vimochana for this. But you will be born as a Rakshasa for that to happen. So Rakshasa, we usually demonize the Rakshasa, saying that they are of low nature or something like that. No, they are of very high nature, at least better than humans. So these are siddhis, these are people or yogis who may not have retained their sattva gunas. Rajas might have increased in them, or tamas might have increased in them at some point of time. Therefore, he is born as a Rakshasa. Ultimately, when Krishna, during his Krishna Leelas, he kills that demon, he is sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna, and Bala Krishna, he kills him, and then he shows his true form, and he says, now you are Shapa Vimochana has happened and you have attained mukti. You are no longer going to be stuck in that loop. So, like this, the karmas do not get tallied up like that. We have to understand that each of our karma and the quantum of that karma can actually spread for many generations. So that, keeping that in mind, here it is very Umam vimuchyate, when they say, it is not with the intention of saying that just by taking the name, you would have, your karma is not going to give phala. It is definitely going to be there. It is definitely going to give you phala. If you're not, if you have done something bad, if you don't repent it, then definitely you will feel the pain of it. But the name of Narayana is such that it brings about repentance. Therefore, the pain of it is subdued. That is the reason why they say that it runs away. What it runs away doesn't mean that it won't affect you. It just means that you become insensitive, desensitized towards it. If I keep just an example of it. If I take a small pin and poke the edge of my finger, I'll feel the pain. But if you ask those people who are diabetic and who keep checking their blood sugars, it has become usual for them. They won't feel that pain, or the pain is not unbearable to them. But to people who haven't experienced or who are not accustomed to it, for them, even that small pinch, that pain that gives brings about a lot of pain. So we get desensitized to other negative stuff when we do Narayana Namasmarani. So that way, taking his name, that nama has that power to reduce that patakas. Whatever I've done, that has its effects. That affects it becomes, I become desensitized towards it. That is the nature of it. And then we have another shloka that is there from Brahma. He says, Narayaneti mantrasti. We are talking about mantra. Now, why we are talking about this mantra? This is from Bhagavata again. The reference is from Bhagavata. Why mantrasti Brahma is saying is because of there's a story of called a story of Ajamila. So now this Ajamila is one person. He is a name, and that person, he had his own papa and punyas and all those things. But specifically, I'm talking about the 28th and the 29th shloka, where Ajamila is on his deathbed, and he suddenly starts seeing Yamadutas. Yamadutas are sent to take his take him out of this world and escort him to Yamaloka. So three bodies he sees, and they're all deformed. They're all our worst fears has been brought into the Yamakinkaras. They have deformed bodies, very twisted features, etc., etc., like that. So he gets very scared. Ajamila, he's on his deathbed and he sees three Yamakinkaras coming towards him, and he feels extremely scared. And they have their pashas with them, and they come to take him to Yamaloka, and his time has come. Suddenly, what happens is he gets scared, and his child is there. He has a very small child, and that child, he's attached to his child, and immediately he calls out to his child. And his child's name is Narayana. So he calls out to Narayana. When he calls out to Narayana, then what happened? The name Narayana invokes Vishnu Gana. Vishnu Gana are the Bhakta Ganas of Vishnu, like how we have Shiva Ganas and all those things, like that. So they appear, they start to protect him. So on a very Puranic note, we can see that the name has so much importance that when we take his name, we get some kind of support to fight the negative influences in the external world. But here we can go a little deeper, and we can try to understand that when Ajamila, when he takes that name, he recognizes and attaches himself to Narayana. And here, Narayana can be the positive force, it can also be his son, and he is deeply attached to his son. That gives him the energy and the positivity to fight against his fears. His fear, he has that fears of death, because he's seeing Yamakinkaras. It brings about a positive change in him to fight against it. In reality as well, whenever we are scared, there is, I think I already mentioned this, there is a book called as Mantram Handbook, which shows the effect of repeated chanting. Certain names bring about certain changes, not just because they have some speciality towards that, because we are grown in that culture where Rama Krishna means something to us. They bring about profound change in our way of outlook. Therefore, when we keep repeating these names, they invoke certain positivity. As we have seen in Sri Rama Gita, how there is Mangalam. When we think about Vishnu, the whole structure, the whole figure, and how we have imagined him, it brings about a profound, it's a very strong sense of attraction, where it's a very, very vivid imagination where we cannot divert ourselves to other things. Imagine seeing Vishnu sleeping like that, and if you look at the Ananta Padmanabha statue, that the gold one, which has become very popular after this thing. So if we look at that on a big screen, it has a certain power to pull our focus, and that is where things change. When it pulls that focus, we are no longer focusing on the negative part, because the reason why I'm getting scared more and more, why my fear is increasing, is because I'm focusing on something that I do not like. That diversion is helping me to reduce that fear. This is also a sort of positivity. So this Ajamila story, this is actually has brought this shloka, that Narayaneti mantrasti vagasti vashavartini. See, vashavartini, it has the power to pull focus. So tathapi narake ghore patantitye tadadbhutam. So despite of knowing this, despite of understanding that. Now again, when I say despite of knowing this, despite of understanding this, the problem is not that people do not know it. They fail to accept it. They fail to accept that it can be a remedy. So it is very difficult to bring about that changes just by words. It has to come to an experience. And for that, that Mantram handbook is actually very good. It brings about it helps to cultivate a particular change that we are trying to experience. Or a simple remedy would be, or simple, if one wants to experience that, then as ISKCON does, one may start chanting Hare Krishna mantra and see the effect it has on her. Even Bhagavad Gita, actually. I know people who chanted Bhagavad Gita and they feel that they have changed. Their behaviors have changed. That means their external and abnormal outrages of emotions, they get contained, so their temper gets controlled. All those things, they form more towards a sattva. The state of mind tries to move towards that. That is there. So all this has been encapsulated in this rephrased version of the shloka. Narayana iti mantraha asti. There is a mantra. Now, again, when we talk about mantra, what we need to understand is there are three kinds of mantra. Mantra can be some to invoke a certain emotion, action. So that is like our Mangala Stutis, prayer mantras. Then there are those mantras that helps us to refocus or reiterate on the Supreme Being, like the Sahasranamas, names, and etc. etc. Then the third type of mantra are the bija mantras, which helps us to help us to take our mind to a certain state of mind where it is at an optimal state and it has rescinded from the manifested being, manifested universe, reality. So while we are thinking about these three things, the mantra that we are talking about, Narayana, is a bija mantra. That is also mentioned in one of the shlokas. That is also mentioned in one of the shlokas, that it is the bija. So, like that, Narayana is a bija mantra. Om namo Narayanaya. Ashtakshari. Om namo Narayanaya. Chanting this on a continuous basis can bring about changes. In fact, there is also a research work the effect of chanting on mind. There is a research work also. Um, I think there was research work conducted trying to understand sleep patterns and uh, based on Omkara Japa. Based on Omkara Japa, what was there is some there is one called as, okay, the citation is some cognitive function, altered states, and quality of life. This is the name of um, the work, the research work. How chanting relates to cognitive function, altered states, and quality of life. This is from someone called as Perry G. Uh, I think the numbers have to be changed, the names have to be changed there because Polito Perry, uh, N. Shankaran, and W.F. Thompson. So this is one. Then reduction in depression, there is one more. This is called as effects of Om chanting and Yoga Nidra on depression, anxiety, stress, and sleep quality in hypertensive patients. This was printed or published in Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine. This is from Archana and K. Anjana and J.K. Mukaddan. Mukaddan. So there are many research which have taken place to understand the brain activity when we go through continuous chanting, phases of chanting. So this can also be read. There are many like this. Now, of course, neuroscience is recognizing this activity as a way of altering or changing brain patterns, the neural patterns. Neuroimaging study, they're called as multimodal neuroimaging study, like that. So that uh, they are now, because of the importance that yoga has gained over time, more more importance is given to these kind of activities, and therefore that nama, this why we are saying this. I'm not saying this Narayana Nama has is the only name which can bring about peace or anything like that, but this is a time tested one. Om Namo Narayana is a time tested one. It's a Bija Akshara, Bija Mantra. Panchakshari also we have Om Namah Shivaya also is there. Om itself is one Bija Akshara mantra. We have Gayatri mantra. So all these Bija mantras, they do bring about certain changes in our um, neural activity, and therefore the brain patterns change, and they have been shown to they've been known to show remarkable changes with respect to the fluctuations in mind, when tension, to reduce tensions. So that is one thing that we need to understand, that while this shloka sounds like a very spiritual or something that is coming out of bhakti, there is Vijnana in it as well. That is the reason in Vishnu Sahasranama we say Arta Vishanna Shithilascha Bhitaha Ghoreshu Chavyadhishu Vartamanaha Sankirtya Narayana Shabdamatram Vimukta Dukha Sukhino Bhavantu. Just that Nama is enough to take us away from the one who is suffering from any ailment, any bhaya bhitis, any different kind of problems, adversities that we are facing. Chanting that Nama can bring about respite. That is the reason why Brahma says this and has been repeated and given to Yudhishthira. So we have to understand the importance of these mantras as well. Again, uh, I would suggest that people read this book called as Mantram Handbook. It is by Eknath Ishwaran. Available, I think, on audiobook also on Audible. So it can help, and there are many books like that who have tried to use mantram to understand the chanting, the practice of chanting, to understand how much difference it brings about. It's a very great book to understand. I hope this was there are enough information given for anybody who goes through the session to inculcate a practice and try on their own. I'm not saying believe my words. I'm not saying what I'm saying is true, but at least this must be a convincing argument to start chanting. So when the initiation happens, then obviously we can experience on our own, because nothing is a better teacher than our own experience. So keeping that in mind, we will conclude this session. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।